It is Tuesday, which of course means it's time to answer the questions that you guys send in every single week on the BrendenPlayz forums at BrendenPlayz.com/forums or in the YouTube comment section down below. As well as that, you can also leave a question on the website, BrendenPlayz.com, and leave a voicemail to get your voice heard on the show. Alrighty guys, so coming up the Night of Champions pay-per-view, and we'll get into our full recap and a bit of a review of what I thought about the Night of Champions show. Quite a few things have been going down this week as well. We had the WWE 2K16 first official trailer. Monday Night Raw, there was a few little things that happened on there. And I think overall we had a pretty newsworthy week in this week's wrestling. And of course the Elimination Chamber as well coming up very, very soon for Universe Mode. So we'll talk about that in a moment, what's going on there. So, of course, the show is available on Spreaker. Let's Talk Tuesdays is available on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. So make sure you guys keep spreading the word about the show, keep supporting the show, and help grow the show. I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, last week's show was pretty good. I was going to say pretty good, but then I realized we had an audio mishap, so I really do apologize for last week's show. The first 50 minutes had an issue. That should not be an issue from now on ever again. I learnt my lesson from what I did. So I really do apologize for that. I know that it wasn't as great because of that, but I felt as though what I was talking about during the show was really good, but just the quality in the end was not that great. So I really do apologize for that one. We have the Patreon as well at the moment that we've had 10 fantastic people supporting the show on the Patreon, so we're coming towards the end of the month already. I mean, oh my god, we're getting nearly at the end of the year, or nearly out of October, which is crazy. It's a very busy time for me, but at the beginning of the next month, I'll give everyone that supported the show on Patreon, who has donated $3 or more, they'll get a shout out on the show, and of course, if they've donated $10 or more, then they will have their whatever they want me to promote heard on the show. So I'll promote whatever they would like me to do. So that's the plan for that. So if you are a Patreon supporter, that's what's going on there. I know a few people have been asking me this week, where's my promotion? Where's my shout out? Well, it's coming. But with Patreon, how it works, it goes through at the end of the month. So the start of the month, then everything will be fine and everything will be all sweet and we can get it underway. So we'll start this week's show off with Night of Champions, and straight away, my initial thoughts, and I kind of gave this on Twitter, my initial thoughts were that this show was kind of underwhelming. There was a few things that I wanted to happen on this show that didn't happen, and there was a few things that I wanted to happen on this show that were replaced, or did later, or just some things that I wanted to happen didn't quite go down the way I was expecting it, and some of the things that I was hoping to happen were just kind of done badly. So, I didn't watch the pre-show, so I have no comment on that at all. And I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time going through each individual matchup, because some of the matches aren't really all that, worth talking about. We'll start it off with the Intercontinental Championship matchup. Obviously, myself being a big Ryback fan, and I like Kevin Owens as well, I was quite conflicted on how I wanted this one to go down, but in the end, Kevin Owens did get the victory. He raked the eyes of Ryback, so obviously we're going to have a rematch between these two, and I kind of enjoy this matchup. I know some people always shit on Ryback and how bad he is, and I know if Ryback has a good match, they'll always say that, oh, so-and-so carried Ryback to a good match, but I thought both guys did a pretty good job. I enjoyed this one. It was a nice way to kick off the show. I believe it started off. I could be wrong, but Night of Champions, I will say, when watching this show, I was very distracted because I had a lot of things going on. I was on the phone, I was on my, chatting live, and I was just doing some other things, and I just was a little distracted during this show, so I didn't really sit down for 3 hours and quite intently watch every single matchup. So when I'm talking about the matches, I'm kind of really just talking about the finishes, because I didn't really watch that intently. None of the matches really grabbed my attention all that much. So, but I did enjoy Ryback versus Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens winning the championship. I was watching at the start. It had my attention to kick it off, but Kevin Owens winning the championship was pretty cool. I mean, I think Kevin Owens as a champion suits his character a lot more. We see Kevin Owens walking around the NXT championship, and it just feels right. And when he doesn't have a championship, he just feels like he's missing a huge element to his character. So him being Intercontinental Champion, I think, is probably more beneficial to his character than it is to Ryback. I mean, Ryback as champion's okay. You know, a lot of people were talking about how poorly his championship run has been, and I was defending it. I was saying, give it a chance. He hasn't really had an opportunity to face any credible opponents, and now his title run has come to an end already. But I thought Ryback as champion, I just think he didn't have an opportunity to really show us what he could do. It was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. But I think he should get another opportunity in the future. I'm not saying anytime soon, but in the future to be a champion again. Because, to be honest, you know, I look at Ryback, I look at, 3 years ago now. Now it's 3 years ago. Hell in a Cell to 2012, when Ryback was just being built up as this beast, undefeated, just on top. This huge surge to the rise, huge surge of popularity, and he was just going straight into the main event. You know, they really messed up there. I mean, Ryback could have been such a big name for them. I was thinking back then, I looked at Ryback and I went, wow, this guy is going to be the next main eventer. I honestly thought when I was watching him back then, this guy is going to be a top guy from the future, from now on. They've pushed him into this position. He's going to be a top guy. And then we know what happened in the end. But, Ryback, I think, he could have been a top guy for a number of years now. Perhaps even had a run as a champion, perhaps not. But I think Ryback could have done a lot more in his past 3 years if he had given the opportunity. And I think Ryback has a lot to offer. I know some people just think he's a big guy, he can't move. Back then, yes, he was, but I think now he's really kind of improved a lot. And I think Ryback's a guy, when I look at him 3 years ago, I would agree with what they're saying. He's Goldberg, he can't work, he can't do this. But now I look at him now and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's, he's not too bad. This guy can hang. This guy hangs in there with the best of them. So he may not be a Daniel Bryan in the ring. He may not be a Seth Rollins, and he may not even be a Kevin Owens. But, he certainly hangs in there and, holds up his own end. So I think to Ryback's credit, I have to defend him, and I have to say he had an okay title reign at best, but I think Ryback should be positioned into a point where he can have more opportunities to be a champion in the future, because I think he has the potential. They just have to kind of give him that opportunity, and they tried to give him that opportunity. The injury happened, and he was stuck with the Big Show and Miz for such a long time, to the point where it was probably about time for him to drop the championship, maybe another month at tops, but it was about time to drop the championship, and he just dropped it when things were starting to get better for him. I know his promo that he did last week was atrocious, but with the Elvis thing, he's trying to be funny. Ryback, that was very forced. Some things are very forced. When he's just more natural, when he's his own, just natural himself, the guy can be funny. The guy can, show some personality. But just think the things they give the guy, what the writing team gives a lot of these guys, they force them to do these things that obviously don't fit their character, aren't who they are. It just comes off really, really bad. And last week when Ryback was doing that stupid thing and he dancing around and whatever, that's a really clear example of that. The guy should not be doing that. He obviously doesn't fit the bill of that. So with a guy like Ryback, and there's plenty of other guys on the roster as well that I think could show some personality and, could really be something if they let them be themselves instead of trying to force something on them that just isn't working. But anyways, I've kind of ranting on about Ryback there. Kevin Owens being champion's good. Like I said, Kevin Owens as champion fits his character. Good move. Let's see where Kevin Owens goes with this. Let's hope that Kevin Owens can really build himself up, get some big wins under his belt. I hope he has a feud with Cesaro long term for the championship, perhaps. And we could throw Dolph Ziggler in there as well, which would be okay. Rusev unlikely at this point, but obviously they want to keep it to the baby faces, so probably Cesaro and Ziggler is probably the most likely after Ryback to come along and feud with him. Who else have we got? Mark Henry could probably do it. We know Mark Henry's always one of those guys there, and it just goes to show that we have so many guys that the WWE has, but so few of them are really in a position to be credible enough to go after a championship. And it's the Intercontinental Championship we're talking about. Even a guy like Neville, you throw him in there and it feels like, really? Neville? Already. Neville's a great talent, but you just already feel as though, okay, alright, I suppose. But, already some of these guys that brought in just have already dropped so much from NXT. And Kevin Owens was on the verge of becoming one of those guys. I really felt as though he's about to become an afterthought. But now he's got the Intercontinental Championship. Perhaps this might be the way to kind of reintroduce Kevin Owens back as a top guy. And hopefully they give him an opportunity to really show us what they can do. I know there's been some rumors, some reports that Kevin Owens, well, is he going to be a top guy? Some people want him to be. Some people don't want him to be. So hopefully the people who don't want him to be have lost some of their say and let this guy actually show us what he can do. And other than that, really, I mean, some of the other matches we saw on the undercard weren't all that interesting. I mean, the Dudley Boys and New Day, it was what it was. I thought the New Day should win, and they did. I'm glad they did. Dudley Boys too soon for them. I would have them win later on. Let the New Day thing kind of play itself out. Let's see how far the New Day can take this. Will they remain hot? Maybe not. But let's give it another couple, 2 or 3 months, and then, if we want to give the Dudley Boys the championship at the Royal Rumble, or perhaps at TLC, we'll see where it ends up there. But I'm glad they kept the championships anyway as the New Day. They're great. I just love the New Day, and Xavier Woods' hair was ridiculous, and yeah, and it's cool to see Woods go through the table as well, and what they did on Raw was great. We'll talk more about that later, perhaps. But, I just really like the New Day, so I'm happy they have the championship still. Charlotte, obviously, winning the Divas Championship was expected. I think we all kind of knew that was going down. And that just felt really deflated. It just felt... it just didn't really... I know they were crying, it was so emotional, but it just didn't really feel like... I didn't really care. I think I kind of expected it so much that when I saw it happen, I was just like, okay, alright, about time. About time Nikki lost. And I just think if they had have... she had a lost on Raw, it would have meant a lot more, but now that the record's been broken, it's kind of like, okay, alright, you won the championship, well done. It's not as much meaning as it was a week ago when she almost won it. So I think the crowd, they were hyped up, alright, yay, she won, and then they took it away from her, and then only, a week later for her to win it back, it's like, okay, cool, The celebration was not as there. It wasn't as big of a moment as it was on Raw when she teased the win. But like I said, this pay-per-view overall, a lot of things were very underwhelming, and it was really kind of true when we were talking about the Shield matchup. Well, Reigns and Ambrose with the third member versus the Wyatts. I predicted last week that Chris Jericho was a possibility. I really thought they were either going to bring in a new guy or a returning legend, and I thought Jericho would probably be a prime suspect as a returning legend. And as it turned out to be, Jericho was the man that they chose. And just to hold that thought, we'll go back a quick second because I just remembered what I really wanted to happen. Another reason why I wanted the Divas matchup, why I felt as though it was so underwhelming, is because I was fully expecting Paige to turn on Charlotte during that celebration. I really felt as though this is it, Paige's going to turn. So underwhelming, but I suppose it happened a day later. I'm okay with that, but as I predicted last week, I really felt as though Paige turning on Charlotte was going to be the start of something that we can actually enjoy and something different, something somewhat exciting for this Divas Revolution. And it's come a day late, but I noticed that I think I tweeted it out on when the pay-per-view was on. I just felt as though it was so underwhelming, and I was really disappointed Paige didn't turn there. So, but of course she did come and turn. Well, we'll talk about that soon. But she kind of turned, and some people saying she's a tweener. Some people say she's a full-fledged heel. I personally think she's a full-fledged heel. Some people think she's going to, toe the line and perhaps, still be against Team Bad, and still be against the PCB. She's just against everyone. She likes some people, she hates some people. So, anyways, I kind of went back and forth there. I apologize, but back to the Jericho thing. I did say Jericho was going to be a big opportunity, a big chance of him coming through and coming to be the third guy. I'm happy it wasn't Baron Corbin. I'm happy it wasn't Eric Rowan. But I don't know, I just felt as though it was going to be something big. I know Jericho's a star, and I was happy to see Jericho back, and I thought he did a pretty good performance. And I'm not going to say Jericho is bad, and am I surprised? No, because Jericho has still been actively competing for the past few months. He's been doing the house shows. He's been, you know, having a match here and there, maybe a match once or twice a week for the past couple of months. You know, he's been doing the house show circuit, so I'm not surprised at all that Jericho looked good. And I was happy to see him back, by all means. I think Jericho, obviously, one of my favorites. I've always been a big fan of Jericho, but I just felt as though this was a moment for something special and something that I'll remember. And I was just kind of let down a little bit. I was just kind of like, all right, cool, Jericho. But I think I was just expecting something more and something different. But we got Jericho, and what I found interesting was what happened after the match, after the Wyatt family won. You know, are we going to see a Jericho versus Roman Reigns or Dean Ambrose rivalry? I mean, nothing happened on Raw about it, so this is where I was confused. This is where I was, once again, left disappointed, is they tease something on Night of Champions, and then the next night, nothing happens. Where's Jericho? They didn't even bring it up at all about, you know, about the end, you know. Jericho tagged himself in on Reigns, and I suppose he cost Reigns and Ambrose the match. You know, he got the pin, he got pinned by Strowman, and I don't know, Jericho bumped Ambrose on his way out, and just nothing happened. You know, they just pretended like it didn't happen. So, just another one of those, you know, easy escapes, and they just failed to mention it, or failed to explain it, failed to do anything about it. Instead, they just had Randy Orton come out on Raw, and, you know, team up. So instead of Jericho, it's Randy Orton tonight. So it's just some storyline continuity is missing, and we know this is quite a common theme with the WWE, so that was disappointing. I just wanted them to follow up on that on Raw. But anyways, back to Night of Champions. I thought the match was pretty good. I did enjoy it. I like Ambrose and Reigns. I like the Wyatts. I like what they're doing with the Wyatts now. Strowman is an absolute beast. Harper just seems as though he's just in the background. I mean, he's just a smaller guy, a smaller Strowman. Where Strowman, he's clearly the man. Like right now, everyone is selling hard for this guy, and he is no-selling everything. It's going to take 3 Superman punches to take the guy off his feet. Even then, barely gets off his feet. You know, they are really trying to sell this guy as an absolute beast, an absolute freaking monster. And I like it. I do like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like it. I like watching guys who have such a huge size, because it is larger than life. It is something special. It is something new, unique, and it's something you're only going to see with select people. It's something you don't see every day. You know, seeing a guy who's 5'8", 200 pounds, you can see that every single day. You know, it's hard to be unique. It's hard to be special. It's hard to be different. But you don't see a lot of guys who, I don't know what Strowman is, like 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", you know, 400, 350 pounds. You don't see a guy like that walking around every day. So it's something different, something special. So I think when I see a guy like him, I do generally get excited to see him, see what he can do, because he's such a big dude. It's something, you know, to watch. It's something to keep your eye on. And these special attraction guys we've seen in the past, you know, Carly, Big Show, Andre, these big guys, you know, they are something to definitely see, and, you know, something very special to watch. And, you know, he may not be, you know, the greatest worker, and, you know, he's pretty green, but I think he's still, you keep him in this role as the guy who gets the tag in, might go ahead and get the pin, hit his finish, and make the guy submit, or, you know, get the pin, and whatever he wants to do. You keep that as his role and as the dominant force, and I think you can do some good things with the guy. If anything, the Wyatt family are back. That's all I'll say. The Wyatt family are back after, I don't know, like a year and a half of both Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper being nothing. Just nothing. Luke Harper has really turned into a joke. You know, it's hard to kind of just forget about his last year where he was Intercontinental Champion for a hot minute. Then he went from being that to a guy who just lost every freaking week. You know, it's hard to kind of, you know, forget about that. I know Eric Rollins now at the picture, so I won't mention him, but just hard to kind of take a step back and forget about what Bray Wyatt and Harper have done and try and, you know, think of these two guys as these unstoppable guys. But whereas Braun Strowman, I don't have any of that to think about. You know, this guy is completely new on TV and new in my eyes, and I don't have anything to base it off. I just see this guy as an absolute monster and this beast. So I think for me, Strowman is certainly the one that I have my eye on right now, probably because of those reasons alone. And the US title match, John Cena win. Well, who really is surprised? I kind of thought Cena would win. I knew Rollins was going to lose one championship. It was either going to be the WWE World title, US title. I thought it was more likely to be the US title, and if he was going to lose the world title, then he would lose both titles. So I think it just makes me ask the question though, what the hell was the point in giving Seth Rollins the US title in the first place? He literally did nothing with it. He's the world champion, so he's not going to give a shit about the US title. Why would he? He's the world champion. He's not the champion of the US, he's the champion of the world. Who cares about the US title? John Cena can have that. So it makes me wonder as well as the positioning on the two matches on the card, the world title match and the US title match, how the fact that they had one straight after another. I thought that was a little strange. I thought the US title probably would have been one of the opening matches, or if not in after 1 hour, in the middle of the show at least. But they had both of them after each other, so I felt as though that was a little odd. I don't know why they did that, but okay. But I thought for a moment, when they were doing the promo package, I was like, oh no, the world title's going to be now, because they're kind of doing a promo package for both matches straight after one another, and they kind of combined them both together. So when they were doing the Sting and Seth thing, which was majority of the package at the beginning, I'm thinking, oh no, the world title's going on second to last. Cena's got the main event. What the hell? But thank God that didn't happen. But yeah, this is a match I didn't really care about, because I've seen Seth Rollins and John Cena so many times. I just felt as though, what more can I really see between these two guys? It's kind of similar between Cena and Owens. Their third match was like, what more can I really see from these guys? I've kind of seen it already. So I knew Cena was probably going to win, and he did. So whatever. Let's move Seth Rollins away from John Cena. Let Cena do something different. That begs the question, though, who's going to be the guy to step up to take on John Cena? I have no idea. I mean, who is going to be the guy? There's not many guys in the mid-card who are heels that are really dominant right now that aren't already doing something, so I have no idea what's next for John Cena. So I suppose he'll probably have another match against Seth Rollins. I know that Seth already had a US title match and he lost clean on Raw. So, and obviously Seth is moving towards the Hell in a Cell match between Kane, most likely. So I guess it may leave Sheamus and John Cena, but then again, Sheamus, Mr. Money in the Bank, should be focusing on the world title only, so it doesn't really make much sense. So I don't know what's next for John Cena. Really don't. So they might just throw someone in there just to do it, Cena probably will go back to doing the open challenge gimmick, and we'll just have some open challenges for a while, and, we'll see what happens. But I have no idea what's next and who's going to face Cena next. And the final match, the Sting versus Seth Rollins match, I thought Sting looked pretty good. Physically, I thought he was in pretty good shape. Glad he didn't wear the t-shirt. I don't know why he wore it on Raw. Maybe he was saving the big reveal. Yes, I'm in shape. I've been working out. Save it for the pay-per-view. If that's the case, whatever, sure. But, yeah, I just thought this match was okay. Sting obviously has hurt himself, hurt his neck. That table bump he took on the announce table looked bad. And then he kind of finished his neck off when he took the bump into the corner off the powerbomb. So Sting is in a bad way, and some rumors are going around about Sting's future, and perhaps that might be his last match because he seriously hurt his neck. He suffered an injury, so Sting is not in a good way at the moment, which is really disappointing because I thought Sting was pretty good. I mean, he lost the match, and a lot of people complaining about how Sting has just come in and lost every damn match. But really, this is kind of the thing that should happen for a 56-year-old guy. I think he should have beaten Triple H. That way you have value in Sting from then on. Him losing Triple H really just deflated everything about Sting. But if he comes in, he beats Triple H, then you can move him on to a world title match against Seth Rollins. You're like, okay, alright, Sting. He's gotten a huge win over Triple H. This guy means business, but the fact he lost to Triple H to me, I already kind of saw the guy as someone who's just going to come in and lose. And it seems as though if he does have another match, he'll probably lose that again. I have no idea what Sting's future is. Will he wrestle again? No idea. But perhaps we'll see another match between the two if they want to do an injury angle. But that's really the only thing coming out of this for Sting to really go on to. But like I said, I thought Sting looked pretty good, and the match was okay. Seth Rollins was trying his hardest to make it as good as he could. He was overselling for Sting. It was, getting a little bit ridiculous at some points, but I did enjoy it, and I hope Sting is okay, and I hope he can have one more final match. Probably going to go into the Hall of Fame this year. I would probably say he's a lock, and then he can move on, maybe one last WrestleMania match to call it a day, or if not, that could be Sting's last match. I don't know. But obviously at the end of the match, Sheamus came out, teased the cash in like usual. They, generally before you cash in, if someone's going to hold the briefcase for a while, they generally get 5, 6, maybe even 10 teasers before they actually cash in. And was it Dolph Ziggler who had a teaser every freaking week, and then he finally cashed in? We see it all the time. So many guys do the teaser, and Sheamus is just doing that right now. And there was no way Sheamus was going to cash in if Seth Rollins won. So Kane came out, masked Kane back again, took out Sheamus, took out Rollins. So it's pretty clear that we're going to do Kane versus Seth Rollins at the next pay-per-view. And initially, I was going to shit all over this. I thought, oh god, Kane's back, who gives a shit? But we'll segue into Monday Night Raw now, and this new gimmick for Kane is something I like. I do like it. So Kane, this new gimmick, it's different. It's something that I think Kane needed. Something refreshing. There's two sides of Kane. Obviously, it reminds me of Joseph Park and the Abyss storyline from TNA. But I don't think it's a bad thing that they're going this way. Kane is the director of operations. He's happy, smiley, go-lucky guy. Just doing my job, boss. I'm just doing a great job. I'm trying to do my best for you. I'm going to work hard. And then, you see this other side of Kane that's just this monster, and he's just beating the shit out of Seth Rollins. And then you ask him about it, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. What the hell? I don't do that. I never did that. So Kane, just this two sides of Kane has really got me intrigued, and I think this is a nice little refresher of the Kane character for now, and a nice little way to kind of reintroduce him as that corporate role, so we're not seeing Kane masked all the time. And when we do see him masked, then it's going to be more of a bigger deal as well. When he's got the mask on, shit's going down. And that's the way Kane should be right now. I mean, Kane coming out, he needs to be the ass kicker that we know of old. And you put the mask on, he's going to be unstoppable. That's the way it should be. And, if they want to keep doing the corporate thing, that's fine. But when he puts the mask on, he means business. So he shouldn't wrestle again as the corporate Kane. He should just, be the happy-go-lucky Kane, just trying to work hard for my boss kind of guy. And then put the mask on, and I'm just, oh boy, look out. So I like what they're doing with Kane. I'm happy with that. Can't complain, no real complaints from me there. Now, before we get into the rest of Monday Night Raw, the big thing coming out of the Night of Champions pay-per-view was the announcement of Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell in a Hell in a Cell matchup. Oh man, this is going to be a great match. I mean, I really, really enjoyed their last one at SummerSlam. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Brilliant. One of my favorite matches this year. Fantastic. So, a third matchup between the two in a Hell in a Cell. This could be a big brawl. This could get ugly. This could be a hell of a match. I think these guys are going to just beat the shit out of each other. And I think Brock Lesnar should win. And you lock Lesnar inside a cage with the man who technically, I suppose, is the god of the Hell in a Cell. The best guy to ever step inside Hell in a Cell. The most prolific Hell in a Cell competitor. The Undertaker. So Lesnar versus Taker, I just think it matches up really well. And I think, honestly, this is a nice, refreshing moment because so often we just have Hell in a Cell matches for the sake of having a Hell in a Cell match. This one, to me, deserves a Hell in a Cell. Now, the only problem I have with it is they've just kind of announced it out of the blue. they've forgotten about it. They kind of mentioned it for a couple of weeks, and they forgot about it. Then all of a sudden, oh, we're going to have a Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell. And they didn't do anything to follow it up on Raw either. I think Paul Heyman should have came out and done something. Perhaps that's going to be saved for next week to hype up Lesnar's Madison Square Garden matchup. I would say yes, that's more than likely going to happen. So that's the only little issue I have. They've kind of forgotten about it for a few weeks there. But nonetheless, Taker versus Lesnar, Hell in a Cell, big match. And obviously Taker, this is probably going to be his last final run, I suppose you can say, having a few matches in the year. So it's kind of cool to see Taker, in a few more matches. And I thought he was great at SummerSlam. Honestly, you say what you want about him. I thought he was good. I think he looked good. I thought the match was great, like I said. So if he can come out there and, have another, matchup against Brock at Hell in a Cell and put on another good performance, that will just really go to show how great The Undertaker is and what a legend that he truly is. So Undertaker and Hell in a Cell, it also means that you can just kind of use the weapons, you kind of can use the cage, and you can slow it down a little bit as well, make it more methodical, I suppose. You throw each other into the cage, and you can just slow things down, you can beat the hell out of each other. It doesn't have to be, a work rate matchup. You can just be more of a brawl, and I think that would suit both guys' style a lot more. Taker might get suplexed into the cell and shit like that. It'll be brutal. It'll be great to watch. So big thumbs up from me. I'm just glad they didn't do it at WrestleMania, because that would have just dragged this whole thing on way too long, and by the time we got to WrestleMania, nobody would have cared. And I think in Hell in a Cell, they hype it up for the next 3 weeks coming into Hell in a Cell. I think it'll do well. I think people will be like, alright, hell yeah, let's do this. And you have Lesnar beat the shit out of Big Show at Madison Square Garden, and perhaps you have The Undertaker even appear there, and maybe Taker comes out and, stares down Lesnar, and they might brawl for a little bit, something like that. That would be cool, and that would be amazing for that, for their house show kind of attendance as well. Like, all these big things could happen at house shows, and, just something cool for the network as well. A big moment like that on the network will also, certainly help their network as well. So I think I would not be surprised at all if Taker does show up. Maybe Brock Lesnar just finishes Big Show off, just send him to Suplex City. He's done with him. He's celebrating. Lights go out. Taker's there. Here we go. They have a brawl, and they fight around the ring for a bit, and they get broken up, separated, and that's how they end the show. Something like that. That would be pretty cool in my opinion, and I would be definitely down to seeing that. I think that'd be a great way to do something there, because I think it would be a waste to have Lesnar on the show and not have Undertaker do something on the show with him. So I think I would definitely have Taker appear there and brawl, not just to stare down, not just a teaser, brawl, go at each other, do something. They've already had a couple of big matches. Let's just hype this one up and go after each other. Let's settle the score. Let's get a bit of a sneak preview what to expect at Hell in a Cell. They're already on the network. They're trying to sell the network for the next pay-per-view. Well, it's the way to do it. So that's what I would do there. But definitely, just to finish that point up, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there. Anyways, Monday Night Raw kicked off with the opening brawl between the Wyatts and Roman Reigns and Ambrose. Randy Orton came out for the save. So Randy Orton returning after a few weeks off, a few weeks to kind of refresh himself. So I'm not sure what they're going to do here. Perhaps they're going to do another 6-man tag with Randy Orton as the third guy. Like I said earlier, I wish Jericho had have come in and we had some explanation there. So there seems as though they just kind of swept Jericho under the rug, replaced him with Randy, and we'll have another match. I would say another 3-on-3. I don't think this is going to be the match at Hell in a Cell by all means. I think they'll probably do the match next week on Raw, to be honest with you. So that's what I expect to see there. But yeah, Randy Orton being back, I think Randy's a guy who probably could work a part-time schedule like a Jericho. He comes in for 6 months, has 6 months off. I think a guy like Randy Orton could really benefit from that. Comes in, and once his welcome has been, just about done, we'll go away for a bit. So, a bit like Rob Van Dam, when he'd come in for 3 months on, 3 months off. I think a guy like Randy Orton could really benefit from that schedule. That way you don't get bored of the guy, because Randy Orton, when he came back, he had like 3-4 months off at the end of last year into the beginning of this year. And he came back and he had like 3-4 months there where Randy Orton was fucking awesome. Randy Orton was great. I really, really enjoyed him. And then, it just started to kind of fade away a little bit. When he got to the Sheamus thing, I really stopped caring about him. So if he had stayed off TV for those couple of months with Sheamus instead, because we've seen Sheamus and Randy so many times, and that was just a filler. Let's be honest, that was just filler. There was nothing either guy really achieved from anything in that feud. So if he stays off TV for those 3 months, comes back, and perhaps he's the surprise guy at last night's show instead, maybe it's more of an impact. I think Randy Orton, as a part-time guy, and not just like a guy who comes in and works Monday Night Raw only, but as a part-time guy, like, alright, let's take a few months off, come back for a few months, and take another few months off, but working a full schedule in between. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. I think Randy Orton could really benefit from that, and I think that's what I would like to see from him. Perhaps he's working less house shows as it is now, and I think that's a good thing. And the guy's been around, for 12 years, and 10 years on top. That's what we need to see from like a guy like John Cena as well. And I know they can't afford to do it with John Cena because it's the only freaking guy that they've built up for the last 10 years to be the top guy in the company. That's their own fault. But Randy Orton, he's a guy who's, always going to be up there. He's always going to be one of the top guys, but he's never going to be the guy. So they can afford to have him come in and work this kind of schedule. And, you bring in Jericho, he's a guy who can come in and fill that spot. You turn Jericho heel, they need another top heel. So if they want to do a Reigns or Ambrose feud with Jericho, I would definitely be down for that. And Jericho as a heel is fantastic. I really like him as a heel. As a babyface, he's great, don't get me wrong, but I think we've seen the babyface Jericho for a while now, so I would definitely, if I'm going to bring back Jericho, and there's some rumors about Jericho being full-time until WrestleMania, he's going to work more of a schedule, he's back now. If I'm going to bring back Jericho, I'm definitely bringing him back as a heel to give him these fresh matchups against Ambrose, against Reigns, and, perhaps even Cesaro, he might get a match there. I know he's been requesting to work with guys like Owens and Balor and Neville, these guys on house shows, so perhaps Jericho can get himself into a feud with some of these guys and try and elevate them a little bit and get them some TV time and some exposure and have some good matches. So I think a guy like Jericho could certainly benefit from turning heel and working with some of these babyface guys. So I'm definitely excited to see Jericho back if he is going to be back full time. And I'm happy to see Randy Orton back to a degree. I mean, like I said, probably would have kept him off TV for a little longer. I mean, that was a way to kind of ride him off for a couple months there. Let him refresh himself. Let him come back and do the thing there. But bring him back after a few weeks. And, he's back just to being Randy Orton. I don't think it really made any kind of impact or no real buzz or excitement about Randy Orton coming back because it hasn't been long enough. So the other thing I want to talk about on Monday Night Raw is definitely Paige's pipe bomb. So are we going to call her a pipe bomb? Are we going to say Paige did the pipe bomb promo that I think a lot of us have been asking for? Something big to happen, someone to turn, something to freshen up this quote-unquote Divas Revolution that's been the same shit for the past couple months. Thank God they've finally done something. Thank God we might see something interesting happen. And it had to be Paige. It just made sense storyline-wise. We talked about it last week on the show. Paige has been the leader. Now these other girls have come in and taken her spot. And they kind of basically went with that route. And I think it's done well so far. And it's also brought back Natalya as well, which I think is cool to see as well. Natalya, a lot of us have been wondering what's going on with Natty. She's being left out. We know she's a good worker. We know this and this and this. She's been left out, so it's good to see her at least thrown into the mix. Perhaps it might only be for a short-term thing, but they might bring her back and get her involved. So I think it's a good thing, Natalya can come back, so it's not just Becky, Paige, Charlotte, Sasha Banks. It's not just them. You can bring in Natalya as well. He's another good diva, good wrestler, and I think Natalya has been underutilized for a long time now, and I certainly think she can offer something. And the fact she hasn't been Divas champion for such a long time, I think, is a bit of a travesty. So I don't think they really see her in that position anymore, which I think is a shame. So let's hope Natalya can get something out of this as well. But obviously Paige turning on Charlotte. Perhaps Natalya aligns herself with Charlotte and Becky to form the other 3 team, so they can keep going along with the Bellas and, Team Bad. Perhaps that's the case, and Paige is just a bit of a lone wolf. She's by herself, just, doesn't take shit from no one. Perhaps that's what Paige goes and does. But I think this is exciting. I think this is what the Divas Revolution needed, something like this to happen, because you look at PCB for the past couple months, it's been too smiley, too happy-go-lucky. These girls have just been loving each other way too much. We needed someone to turn, and I think Paige plays the bad bitch role, probably the best out of the group, and I think it makes the most sense for her to go and do that. So I think I will say her pipe bomb promo was pretty good. I thought it did the job. I think it didn't really get much of a reaction from the crowd, but let's be honest, the crowd wasn't all that great. But when I was listening to it, I was like, alright, it's pretty good. I did like it. So I think a thumbs up from me there. I thought the promo was good enough. So, and, finally, I suppose Kane coming out and attacking Seth Rollins at the end, getting him through the ring, and, the Demon Kane coming out at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. Cena winning, retaining the US title as expected again. I think overall, this show was just pretty good. I just think, it was your average Raw. There's a few highlights there, like I said, with the Paige and Kane. I think it's high. Cannot believe it. I just said Kane was a highlight of Monday Night Raw. Jesus Christ. What is this, 2001? But he was a highlight of the show. So, like I said, I like Kane's new gimmick. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it could be something exciting to see and a nice refresher for Kane. So, Monday Night Raw, pretty average show. Night of Champions was a pretty average, pretty underwhelming show as well. Raw, it did a few things right with the Paige thing and the Kane thing. I definitely liked that. But there's other few things like not doing anything with Jericho and not even doing anything with Sting as well that I didn't really like. I just think, they kind of swept that under the rug a little bit. And I know Sting's injured, so there was some rumors that he was going to open up the show, perhaps even via satellite. They obviously nixed that idea, so whatever. Maybe we'll see him in the next couple of weeks. Alrighty, so we'll move on from Monday Night Raw and we'll talk about the WWE 2K16 trailer. WWE 2K finally did something to bring some buzz and some excitement. We've seen the clips. The developers have been uploading some clips onto their YouTube channel, showing a few things here and there, a couple minutes of gameplay here and there. But finally, we get a 3-minute trailer highlighting the best of the best in the trailer. And I thought it was pretty cool. It was exactly what I expected. Some music playing in the background, some cool camera shots that aren't going to be in the game, obviously. But it looked cool. I liked it. And showing off everyone's new attires, how everybody looks. Just thought it was pretty cool. I liked it. What I want to see, though, is I want to see a My Career trailer. I want to see what they're going to do with that. And I want to see a showcase mode trailer, which they kind of did in that one anyways. They kind of showed what you can expect from there. And it's just Austin's best matches. So perhaps we won't need to do that. Perhaps that's fine. Let's move on. We don't need to do that. But I would like to see some changes. I want to see a video of them going through and saying, this is what we've done with My Career this year. This is what we've done with Universe Mode this year. This is what we've done to these other modes. We've added in this. We've done this. We've done this. Show us a video explaining it, because that's the way to hype up your game. Just having a 3-minute trailer showing a bit of gameplay, a bit of action, that's all well and good. But I think for your hardcore audience, they want to see the nuts and bolts, the nitty-gritty. What's going to be different in this game from last year's game? Is all these My Career Mode issues that I didn't like last year, are they going to be fixed? These are the things and these are the questions that need to be answered. And I think just writing an article and posting an IGN, that might not really do it justice, because I think a lot of people will miss that. But if they see a video on YouTube, I think they're more likely going to watch that, rather than read through and, check out the whole thing and really take the most out of that. So if I was 2K, that's what I would be working on in the next couple of weeks, getting that out before the game comes out. And I'm glad they got the trailer out at least a month before. Did we even have a trailer last year? I think we might have got it right before the game came out. For some reason, WWE 2K games so far, and I think WWE games in general over the past few years, they just don't want to release gameplay. They just want to hide everything until the last minute. And I think that's a bad thing. I think you get information out and you keep bringing out new stuff all the time. I see all the time with other AAA games. NBA is an example. I know they're very close to release, so that's probably more why. But you see games like Assassin's Creed Syndicate that's coming out. You see all the time. There's even Uncharted, which is quite a long way away. You're seeing all these trailers for all these other games every couple months, even once a month. There's always something new coming out, and it's always something to talk about, always something to get you hyped up about it, and it's always keeping the game fresh in your mind. So I think the marketing team on 2K just have no idea how to market your game, and that's one of the reasons probably why their sales aren't doing a lot better, because their marketing team is so poor. And not only that, can we get into the fact that they're leaving so many different necessities out of their roster? We'll put that one aside because we're going to talk about that one later. But I think just the fact that they're releasing this gameplay and not releasing some more information soon enough, I think that's going to really impact them. Releasing everything in one big bunch with a week to go is not going to be good enough. That's not a good way to market your game. Spacing it out and giving this and this and this over a course of time is a much better way to go about it, in my personal opinion. If we saw a 3-minute gameplay trailer 2 months ago, and then perhaps we saw some more matches and some more entrances and things like that now. We saw a few of them before, so that they have released some things, so that's okay. But if we saw, some more like Create Arena, let's go through, this is the new entrances you can see in the game, these are the new Create Arena options, these are the new customizational options, this is the Creator Suite options. If you do videos on that and you release one of those every couple of weeks, and over time you create more buzz and more excitement for it, and rather than not talking about it at all, the only thing we're showing is a picture on Instagram. Alright, there's a picture of someone's hair on Instagram. How exciting is that? Why can't we have... How hard is it, honestly, to do a 2-minute video where you're just going through and showing off some of the new creator options? Is it that bad? Is it that embarrassing you don't want to show it? Because that, to me, is what I see. When they're too hesitant to show gameplay, too worried about showing off their new game modes, to me, that's a clear sign of it's not good. And that's what happened last year, and guess what? It wasn't good. The fact that they didn't show any gameplay for such a long time, and when we got the game, it wasn't good. So this is a little worrying. It's not to the point where I'm too concerned, but I would like to see some gameplay and just to kind of run through of this is what's going to be happening in my career mode. These are the changes we're having, and yeah, so do that for some of their big name modes. Show us what's different in this game compared to last year. Give us a reason to want this game. That's all I'm asking. Alrighty, so speaking of W2K, and this time it's W2K15, the Elimination Chamber PPV is coming up for Universe Mode. We did the Elimination Chamber pre-show. I only had one guest on this time. My boy Lunatic Ginge came on once again and did a great job again. I think we did a really good job. I think it turned out very, very well. I was hoping to have one more guest. We're trying to get someone else to come on. But because I couldn't do it on the weekend, a lot of people, their schedules just didn't align with mine. So I know there's a lot of time zone differences. He's from the UK, I'm from Australia, obviously. So quite difficult to sort out some times, which is always a reason why I don't collaborate a lot of the time, because my time zone is crazy. So even then, I had to do this pre-show at 2 o'clock in the morning, so it just kind of get a little bit ridiculous, in these times. So, like I said, though, it turned out really good. It went for about half an hour, so the pre-show should be coming up. I've done the promo video for the show as well. That's going to come up probably in the morning for Australians and nighttime for the Americans, so that's all done and dusted, and the Elimination Chamber, I've just put everything together, so I just need to voice it over, which that will be tomorrow's job, And then you can probably expect to see the Chamber, for you Patreon users, probably expect to see the Chamber Thursday, I reckon. I think if I can get it all done tomorrow, render it out, it'll be done, Thursday morning, Wednesday night for you guys, so I'll upload it then. And everyone that's on the Patreon obviously gets the Chamber a few days early, so they'll get it early, and then I guess it'll probably be up for everybody else on the weekend. And as well as that, on my channel, NBA 2K16 comes out this week. Hallelujah! Cannot wait! So that's going to be on the agenda on Friday and Saturday as well. More NBA 2K16. We're going to do some GM mode. We're going to start a new series. Still not sure where I'm going to go with it. So if you have any ideas on what team you'd like me to see play as on NBA 2K16, let me know for the GM mode. I'm thinking about relocating and starting fresh for some team, but I don't know which roster I'm going to take over though, because I'm pretty sure you have to pick a roster. I don't think you can start on a brand new slate and just sign players, because if you can, that's what I'm going to do. If you can start on a brand new slate and, take over a team, get rid of everyone, and just sign free agents, that's what I'm definitely going to do, because that's my style. I like to start from the bottom and work my way up. I don't know why I'm like that. I just love doing that. Every single game I play, I like playing as the shittest person and trying to make them good. And by the time they're kind of good, I get bored of it and I want to do it all again. So I don't know what's wrong with me. When I'm starting to get good, it frustrates me because I'm like, oh, this is too easy now. I want to go back to where it was too hard. So I would probably do that on NBA 2K16. So I don't know if that's the case, but if not, maybe I'll take the worst team in the game. I don't know who's the worst team. Is it the 76ers still? They're pretty bad. So I'll probably take the worst team, take them to a new city, relocate, start afresh, kind of make it my own, make my own arena, and just kind of make it my own. And we'll go there on the channel and we'll do a series. My career mode, I want to do the last couple of episodes this week as well. I've got a really busy week. I mean, Elimination Chamber is taking so much time. I've got some assignments I've got to do for uni, so this week's kind of a bit crazy for me in the next couple of weeks as well. As well as that, on the weekend, I'm moving back, well, not moving back home, but I'm going back home for a week as well, so I have a week break from uni, so I'm going back home, which is 4.5 hours away, so I'm going to be driving back home. So this next week coming is just chaotic, it's just hectic, it's just crazy. A lot of things I got to do, a lot of things it's just going to take some time. I got a lot of things I'm working on. So I'm a busy man, which I like being busy. Being busy is better than having nothing to do at all. So I've got so many things I want to work on. And right now, obviously, with Universe Mode, I'm trying to pump out the episodes before WrestleMania. And I still want to do the GM modes. I still have to do my career and finish that one off. And obviously NBA coming up soon now is something different, something new and exciting that I can sink my teeth into. That's what I've really got my eye on right now. That's what I've really been looking forward to for about a month now. Is when I decided to do another NBA series, I've been really pumped to play the game ever since. I'm really, really excited to do that. So once I think I get NBA, I think I'm just going to really play a lot of it and just really do a full series and just go hard at it. I think I'll just spend my whole entire time playing GM mode on it and just really give you guys a lot of content, because I think it's a great way to kind of just give us something a little bit fresh to the channel, open up my channel to a different audience as well. And last time we did the NBA stuff, I cut it short, I know, but it was pretty successful for a short period of time that I did it. So if I can do a full series, who knows, it might end up being pretty good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and I hope you guys do get involved and really do watch those series and check them out. I know a lot of you guys do love your NBAs, so I hope you guys do get involved and smash the like buttons when I put those out, because that way I'll know that I'm doing a good job, because I'm really, really looking forward to playing it. I'm definitely going to try and get as many episodes as I can out before the new game, WWE 2K16, comes out. So I just have to kind of think about how long do I want to make the episodes, make them 10-minute episodes perhaps, so I can get more out, and just kind of spam them out and kind of do a couple episodes a day perhaps. Just really go hard on it. I think that's the goal. Really do a lot of episodes of the NBA and just kind of give you guys a lot of new content, something different on the channel. And I think that'll be, in my personal opinion, something really to look forward to. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that's really all that I've got going on right now in gaming. I mean, I haven't been playing much. I've been away this past weekend as well. I went went and played some tennis. I went to the driving range and smacked some golf balls around. Some of you guys might have saw that on my Twitter. So I've had a pretty fun weekend. I also baked a cake, which is something that I have not done much very before, and has not been very successful. But this one turned out really, really good. So check my Twitter for that. It was under hashtag BrendenBakes, which I thought was a pretty cool name that my chat on the forums picked out for me. So BrendenBakes made an Oreo mud cake, Oreo chocolate cake or something like that. It was something crazy. That's amazing. But yeah, so I just had a pretty cruisy week. It was nice to get away for a weekend because, like I said, I've got a lot of things going on right now, and it's just a busy time, but it's an exciting time. Just really excited for what's going on in the future, especially with my channel. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, what's going to happen in this near future. I want to try and get a live stream in here and there as well with the Twitch. I know I haven't streamed for a couple of weeks now since I did the 30,000 subscriber stream, but I want to try and get another live stream in perhaps in the next weekend or so. I'm going to be away this weekend and the next weekend as well, so let's scrap that idea. So it might not be for a couple of weeks until we get another live stream. I wouldn't mind streaming a bit of NBA as well. Perhaps I'll stream my career mode on NBA. Perhaps that might be the game plan for that. So if you are interested in watching some NBA streams in the future, keep an eye out on my Twitch. Perhaps I'll stream NBA on Friday when I do have the game, and that might be something to look forward to there. So keep an eye out for that. Alrighty, so that's pretty much all I've been doing this week. That's all I've got going on. I've kind of spent a lot of time on that one. So let's go ahead and answer your questions that were sent in this week on the forums at BrendenPlayz.com/forums or in the YouTube comment section down below, or some voicemails. So we'll kick it off with the voicemails.
Yo, Brendan, my name is Alex. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I was just wondering, what do you think about the 4 horsewomen, Becky Lynch, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte not being in the game, but the likes of retired superstars such as Santino and Layla are in the game?
Well, when I ranted about it last week, I thought it was just ridiculous, because you mean to tell me like a guy like Savio Vega and a Santino and, like you said, a Layla as well, these people that don't really have much business being in the game, is anybody really going to care or be, too upset if they're not in the game? They're in the game, but, the likes of, the four horsewomen, 4 divas that we generally want in the game to play as, aren't going to be in it. And this week as well, they announced that they're not going to be DLC, so I just think 2K is shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know what's going on. Why? What happened? Why are they not in the game? And some people telling me, look, perhaps it was the Divas Revolution. Perhaps they've made the game before the Divas Revolution even started. But you look at the NXT roster, Sasha's been champion, Charlotte's been champion, Becky's been right at the top, Bayley's been at the top. So these 4 women have all been a heavy part of the NXT women's division. So we can have the vaudevillains, but we can't have our NXT women's champion, 3 former or current women's champions, and Becky Lynch, who's been at an opportunity to be the champion. So just to me, it's just lazy. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened there. I just think somebody fucked up. They just probably ran out of time, and they've decided, alright, screw it. Let's just cut our losses. Forget about it. They're going to be pissed, but hopefully we can make up for it by adding in Santino Marella.
Hi Brendan, on your Xbox One, do you have 500GB or 1TB? Thanks.
I have 500 gigabytes, but the reason why I put this question in, because it did remind me that this week I almost bought some Xbox One games, and I know that's mind-blowing, because I haven't been able to use my Xbox One because it doesn't work where I am right now. What's going on with it is because when I use my internet at the place that I am right now, it's college internet. So if any of you guys have been on college, you'll know that you need to sign in using a browser. So you connect to the internet, you open up a browser, and it'll take you to a web page, and you sign in using your account. So on the Xbox One, it doesn't allow you to do that. You already have to be signed in to use the Internet Explorer on the Xbox. Whereas on the PlayStation, that's fine. You don't need to. It's okay. So that's why the PlayStation works for me, Xbox One doesn't. So I bought the Xbox One thinking, sweet, second console. I can play all the exclusive games that are on the Xbox that aren't on the PS4. This will be awesome. Little did I know that I can't connect online. And if you can't use the Xbox One online, it's completely useless. But the reason why I brought this question in is because I wanted to buy the new Rare Replay. So obviously, a lot of these rare games like Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Viva Pinata. These are some of the games that I've been intrigued about. Banjo-Kazooie especially was one of those games I played as a child, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was fucking hard when I was a kid. Like, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I thought this game was so hard. I couldn't work it out. But I think now, when I'm 20 years old, maybe, just maybe, I might have a better time in it. But some of these games, just look great. I think it'd be cool to go back and play some of these games I played in my childhood, some of these classic games. Killer Instinct as well, that was on the Nintendo 64. Man, I love that game. So it'd be really cool to go back and play that one as well. So some of these games in this rare replay collection have really intrigued me. So I almost pulled the trigger on that, and I almost got Gears of War, the remake. I never played the original Gears of War. In fact, I've never played Gears of War at all. I think I played like Gears of War 2 or 3 at a mate's place for 5 minutes, and I didn't really like it. So I wouldn't mind getting Gears of War, the remake, and giving that an opportunity to see how good that is. So almost bought some games for the Xbox One. So I think I will get those games at some point. Maybe I'll wait until next year, because next year I am moving out into my own place. So the Xbox One will be usable. Or maybe I'll wait until the end of the year, when all this new hype over all these new games blows over a little bit, and when I move back into my parents' home, when uni finishes, and I can connect there. So perhaps that's an idea, but I kind of stopped myself for the time being. I stopped myself from playing it, but even like, you can't even play it offline, because on the Xbox, the games won't let you can't play the games unless you have the patch installed. You need the latest update, or it won't work, which is ridiculous at the same time as well. Like, I tried to play my Halo collection, and I was like, alright, let's go on and play the Halo campaign, let's get through a bit of Halo 2 that I never played, let's do it. I couldn't do it because I couldn't play the game. I needed the patch. It was ridiculous. So the Xbox One pissed me off, but anyways, I have 500 gigabytes, I'm pretty sure. 500 gigabytes, and I've used all of like 100 on it.
Hey Brendan, this is Mike from the forums, and this is my question. Who are you most excited to play as in WWE 2K16?
I think it's really cool to be able to play as a lot of these NXT guys. A lot of these new guys coming through, Kevin Owens and Finn Balor especially. So I think I'd probably say a mix up between those two guys. There really isn't any returning legends that I'm kind of super keen as. I'll definitely try as the Terminator. I think I'm kind of excited to see what he brings to the table. I know it's not going to be much, but I'm kind of excited to see just what the hell, what's his moveset? What's his entrance going to be like? I just want to see what it looks like. And in the trailer as well, I thought he looked pretty badass. When he came on the bike, I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. So, I don't know. I think, it's probably a mix-up between Balor and Owens, but as a bit of a novelty character, yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what the Terminator is all about.
Yo, Brendan, I just want to hear your thoughts on 2K announcing that Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Sasha Banks are not in 2K16 as the regular roster or in DLC. And I also want you to know, why would they scan Sasha Banks if they weren't going to use her? And this is Jordan from South Carolina.
Well, the second half of this question is what got me intrigued. It's a good point. Why would they scan Sasha Banks if they're not going to use her? I think Rosa Mendez was another one that got scanned. I think there was someone else as well. So they've scanned these women and scanned these superstars. They're not going to use them though. That to me is very mind-blowing. I don't know what's going on there. Is 2K working us? Could it be possible that 2K is just going to pull the rug under us and say, here they are, we were just kidding. Here's the four horsewomen. Here's an NXT Divas Revolution DLC pack. We told you. We got you. We were just kidding. Is it possible that that's going to happen? I don't know. Normally when they say no, it's generally no. I mean, why would they lie to us? I mean, if anything, they would be more willing to say, yep, DLC, we couldn't get them in, but DLC definitely. And that would be, I think, put a lot more fans at ease. So I think, if anything, it's likely that they're not going to be in there. But, like, again, why would they be scanned if they're not going to be in the game? Is it because of budget constraints, time constraints? I mean, if anything, like, how hard is it to really kind of, if you scan them in there, how hard is it to really put them in the game? I'm not a game developer, so it may be quite a time-consuming thing, but I know it's kind of laziness, but when they put Santino in the game, who's not even in the WWE anymore, and they don't put Sasha Banks and Charlotte, etc., in the game, it just makes you go, oh, why? And what's going on? They really need to get their priorities straight, I think. And they're letting a lot of fans down, and I think 2K and WWE, the gaming series as it is, I don't think they can afford to let any fans down. Are we going to probably buy the game even though Sasha Banks isn't in it? Yes we are. But I think if for the most part, I've talked about in the last few episodes, having the complete perfect roster is the key to having a good game. If you have a good roster, you can get away with trialing some different things, not having the greatest game modes. You can get away with that because if you have a good roster, at least the core experience of the game is covered. You can play as whoever you want to play as, but if you don't have the playable characters that you want to play as, then you have a problem. Alrighty, so we'll move on to this week's written in questions from the YouTube and the forum. So we'll start off with Larry Williams. He asked me, you have great ideas for storylines. Well, thank you. I don't know about that one, but have you ever thought about going into professional wrestling as a career option? Not really, because obviously I'm Australian, so if to go into wrestling, I'd have to go overseas, to America, and I don't ever see myself doing that. I would love to. I mean, if WWE called me up right now and said, look, we want to bring you in, I would probably do it. Not going to lie, I would probably do it. Why wouldn't you? I'm a 20-year-old kid who's got no real direction in life. I'm studying a degree that I don't know what I'm going to do with after I finish it. So, of course I would go ahead and do it. I would love it. But, yeah, so if I was going to be in wrestling, doing the announcing thing, I think that would be kind of cool. I think I'd like that. But also kind of working behind the scenes, I wouldn't mind that as well. So I don't know. I think I would definitely enjoy it. But it's certainly nothing I've really thought about. I have thought about working in sports in general, but not wrestling. So, but like I said, if the opportunity came, I would probably do it because wrestling is a big passion of mine. So I would probably very much so consider it. And I would probably end up with doing it, I would say. Next one from Jacob Radley. Do you think Kane's split personality is a good thing? Yes, because it is a way to refresh Kane. We're not just bringing Kane back in as Mark's Kane, doing the same thing that he did with Daniel Bryan when he was champion. We're bringing him in and we're doing something different. It's a refresh of his character. And I think people are genuinely excited to see where this goes. I think people are kind of like, alright, this is something cool, something different from Kane. And I think this is generally a nice fit for his character, and I think he can pull it off. So I think Kane's split personality is a way to reintroduce Kane as a threat to the title again without making it the same old shit. So I think this is a very, very good decision. This one from Shaded Tiger. When are you going to do King of the Ring for your Universe mode? If I was going to do King of the Ring for Universe mode, it would definitely be for SummerSlam. The way I see King of the Ring as I see the Royal Rumble for WrestleMania, right? So I would see King of the Ring for SummerSlam. So I would have SummerSlam in August or whatever, King of the Ring perhaps in June or July. You have the King of the Ring winner go on to face the champion at SummerSlam. So I wouldn't just have King of the Ring and do nothing with it. The King of the Ring winner would be King of the Ring, and with that King of the Ring award or accomplishment, he would go on and get a title shot at SummerSlam. Next one, again from Larry Williams. Do you think that Bray Wyatt has revolutionized the creepy heel character? And he's also wanting to know, do you think that Braun Strowman will get a push after his alliance with the Wyatt family? I don't think he's really revolutionized the creepy heel character. I think he's just taken a few things from some other guys and just kind of worked it into his own. I think Bray Wyatt on his own is really struggling, and I think we've seen that. So Bray Wyatt, the character on its own, isn't working, but Bray Wyatt with the guys around him, his henchmen around him, is better. So I think what they're doing with Bray is a lot better than what they were doing 6 months ago. As for Braun, I think he will get a push because of his size, but I don't see him breaking up the Wyatt family for another year. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have him break away from the Wyatt family for a long time, and why should he? You know, this is the best thing for Luke Harper, Bray Wyatt, and Braun Strowman. There is no need at all. Why not have the Wyatt family just destroy and dominate for a long period of time? Then you can band a group of guys together, or you can build a new top babyface to take out a heel Bray Wyatt as champion or something like that, and you can really start to put some guys over, and the fans can really kind of appreciate these guys and get over these guys as babyfaces because they're taking down this big heel faction. So, my personal opinion, I think Braun will get a push because he's just a huge friggin' guy, but he's certainly not ready at all to be a singles. He's very green, we know that, so you let him work for a year, 18 months, or 2 years, as a tag team guy, a bit like what Roman Reigns did. He comes in, he gets the finish, and you let him work and develop his skills on the house shows, and slowly, after a couple of years, he can start to be a singles guy, and he's got enough experience, and he's good enough to get by. Next one from Johnny Dixon. How do you decide the different attributes of creative wrestlers like Kevin Owens or Rhino? I generally just leave it up to the person that I'm downloading it off that created it. So on creative community creations, if I download Kevin Owens and he's 90 overall, I just generally leave it at that. If I think Kevin Owens, though, I just look at them and for everybody, I went ahead and changed all the stats on everyone in the game because they got it so wrong. It was ridiculous. Sheamus 93, give me a break. So I just look at them and I say, okay, Sheamus to me, he's a main event guy. He's an upper mid-card main event maybe. So he's around about that high 80 mark. So I'd probably put him as 89, 88. Kevin Owens, probably the same. So I'd probably say, well, I think he's better than what the WWE are using him right now. And I want to kind of put him as a main event guy in my universe mode. So I'd probably put him as an 89, a 90, maybe even 91. So I just kind of position them to where I see. I kind of work out, all right, Zack Ryder, he's a lower mid-card guy, if not, an opening act or job guy. So he's about an 81, an 80, perhaps even 79. So you just kind of think about where they're positioned on the card and kind of create your own little system there. Another one from Larry Williams. Do you plan on watching the Rugby World Cup? If so, who do you have winning it? The Rugby World Cup is in England, or the UK, so it is on the very early hours of the morning for me, so I'm not really going to be watching any matches. The Japan upset over South Africa was amazing. I thought that was cool, so I'm definitely going to keep my eye on it, keep track of how the Australians go. I don't think the Wallabies are going to win it, though. I think probably New Zealand will win it because it's New Zealand and they've just been such a powerhouse in rugby for such a long time now, so my money would have to be on New Zealand. Can England win it? Maybe. Can Australia win it? Maybe. But I think, New Zealand would have to be the favourite. Alfonso Henrique wants to know, do you think Ring of Honor will get better than TNA in the future and become the number 2 wrestling show? I just think Ring of Honor needs more money involved. It needs a bigger budget. They've got some great talent there, but they need to increase their production on the show. They need a better TV network. I mean, Destination America and, whatever other network they're on. It's just not cutting it from them to really grow into something bigger. They're not getting ratings, so they're not really going to get that network. They just don't really have a lot of buzz behind them. They're doing some good shows. They're doing some good things, but they're just not really growing as a company. And I just think their size and their funding limitations are always going to be the problem for them growing into the next spot. TNA are already an established brand as the number 2 show, so I think they'll be the number 2 until they fold. And obviously, once they fold, Ring of Honor's the number 2 show coming in America. I think New Japan, obviously, in the biggest spectrum of things, is a bigger show, but for America, definitely Ring of Honor will be number 2 if TNA does fold. Bailey14 wants to know your thoughts on booking Kane to have 2 different personalities, and if him and Rollins have a match, does he go down clean? Yeah, I think Kane has to lose clean because Seth Rollins hasn't got many clean victories. I think Kane is a guy, you bring him in, you have him come in as a filler feud. This is it. Kane just coming in, working these C-rated shows, and have him come in and lose to Seth Rollins just to give Seth Rollins a couple of clean wins to make him look good. I think that's all it is. From Blade, he wants to know your opinion on all the people who are saying Kane and Big Show should retire. Do I agree that they should retire, or are they still useful in the WWE? Kane's up that age where I would say he's only got one last run left in him. He's like 49 years old. He's at that stage where I would think about transitioning him into that part-time, if not retire completely role. Big Show, though, he's 43, 44, maybe 42? But he's a big guy, so he probably only has a couple years left in him. I don't have a problem with them, I just have a problem with the way they're being used. I think the Big Show beating Cesaro on Raw, I get why they're doing it, they want to build Big Show up for his Brock Lesnar match, but just like things like that, when Big Show is constantly being booked over these other guys who I think they should be focusing on, is the problem. I mean, Cesaro should be going over the Big Show, and they should be booking Cesaro in this match against Brock Lesnar. I mean, yes, we all know Brock Lesnar's going to squash whoever he's going to face, but I would like to see what they're going to do with Brock Lesnar. I would rather see Brock Lesnar versus Cesaro, which is going to be a killer match. Just imagine those two guys going at how great that would be. That would be freaking awesome. Rather than seeing the Big Show versus Lesnar, why not give these other guys an opportunity to shine? So I just have a problem with the way they're being used. And I've said it in the past, Kane and Big Show should be tag team guys with some other people. Kane and Daniel Bryan was fantastic as a tag team. Big Show hasn't been a tag team guy for a while, so I would probably think about transitioning Big Show into a tag team and kind of building his new partner off his experience and, his exposure, using Big Show to help bring up some new talent and work with them and make them better. Sandman wants to know, what's your opinion on WWE signing ZZ from Tough Enough? Do you think WWE will think about signing any other Tough Enough contestants, or will they stop with ZZ? Look, ZZ, what can I say about the guy? I mean, he's just not good. I just think ZZ as a wrestler is never going to happen. Unless he's legitimately... What they were showing on TV on Tough Enough was just him being lazy because that was his gimmick, that was his character, that's the way they wanted to portray him on the show. But in actual fact, the guy's working his ass off. He's doing a good job. I don't think he actually really is. I just think he's a guy who's got an accent, who's a bit funny, can crack a couple of jokes. He has a little bit of a personality, so they're thinking, alright, this guy's amazing, let's sign him. But once he's signed, what are they going to do with the guy? I really don't know. Can you bring him on as an announcer, as a commentator? I don't think so. I just don't think he has that in him. So I have no idea what they're going to do with the guy. He's certainly not going to be a wrestler. He's certainly not cut out to be that. I mean, it's going to take years for this guy to be anything. So are they going to really invest that time into a guy that probably won't work? I think that's a bad idea. And as for anyone else coming in, I would probably bring in Patrick and Marta. They'd be the other two guys I'd think about bringing in. And maybe Gigi from the women. That's it. Bailey14, what do you think about Sting's possible career-ending injury? Do you think this is it for Sting? If not, who will be his next opponent? I talked about this a little bit earlier on, but I just think Sting, I'm just sad to see him go out like that. Obviously, halfway through the match, he went down, and I was worried. I was thinking he was just he was selling it up, and then he was down for quite some time. Like, oh shit, I think this guy's actually really hurt. So I would like to see Sting have one more match at WrestleMania and call it a day then. Get the Hall of Fame, get WrestleMania, call it a day, and I have no idea who he'd face. I mean, make him, make someone, put him over someone. I mean, I don't know, but I just think Sting deserves something more. One last match. And last one from Bailey. With Chris Jericho signing a full-time deal, what impact will he make in the WWE, heel or face, and who will he feud with? Like I said, he has to go heel. And I would have him been booked strong up until WrestleMania. Not have him lose every feud, have it go back and forth. Maybe he wins the one or two feuds, and, he has a 3-match pay-per-view rivalry, with someone, he makes him, one apiece, and then they'll have the rubber match. Make Chris Jericho look competitive, look strong, and look good. But if you want to make him lose to the guy in the end, okay. But let Chris Jericho be the cocky, arrogant heel. Make him come in and play up to the fact that I'm a legend. I deserve respect. I've been here for 20 years. I've been in the WWE for 15 years. I've been doing my thing. I come back when I want because I can, because I'm Chris freaking Jericho. I can do what I want, and I want to be the champion, so no one's going to take that away from me. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose is getting in my way. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to take them out, and I'm going to do what I want, I mean, who knows? I mean, I would probably have him feud with Ambrose to start off. I think that'd be great. Roman Reigns as well. I think there's a lot of great opportunities. Like I said, Cesaro as well. So I think Chris Jericho could really come in and feud with a lot of these baby faces, because we really need a lot of heels right now, because there's not many left. You know, Kane was that guy who would just lose all the time as a heel. He's gone now. So really you have Seth Rollins, you have the Big Show, you have Sheamus, you have Bray Wyatt, but who else do you really have? You don't have a lot of these guys. So Chris Jericho coming in as a heel would really just kind of solve a few issues there in the short term, whilst you can perhaps create a long-term fix whilst he's there. Alrighty guys, that will do it for this week's edition of Let's Talk Tuesdays. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the YouTube video. If you are on iTunes, keep the ratings up. I would really appreciate that. And keep downloading the show, keep supporting the show on Spreaker as well. Still on number 3, we've got a few weeks to go until I think we crack number 2. I'm hoping we can get there. But keep supporting the show. Let's try and get this video as many likes as we can on the YouTube and keep the support going. Spread the word around about Let's Talk Tuesdays, and of course support the Patreon as well. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing an exclusive Let's Talk Tuesdays episode for the Patreon users only. I'm thinking about perhaps releasing it like a month or 2 later for everyone else. I don't know if I'll do that. Maybe I won't. But I'm just thinking about, what can I do with that? But we'll talk more about that next time when it gets a bit closer for the Patreon guys. But if you want to hear that exclusive episode, go check out the Patreon page where you can support the show, support Let's Talk Tuesdays, and help me, make more videos for you guys by checking that one out, and just supporting whatever you can to the Patreon cause would be fantastic. And I really do appreciate everyone that has supported the channel in whatever way, even subscribing, liking the videos, commenting all the time, leaving in questions. That's really cool, and I think you guys should give yourselves a pat on the back, because you guys have done some great work. And we had a lot of questions this week, so I really do appreciate everyone that's been sending in the questions. So if you have any question, no matter what it's about, if it's not wrestling related, just send it in anyway. Send in any question you want to me, and I'll try and get to it next week, if not the next couple of weeks. Guys, thank you so much for coming along and listening in. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, see you next Tuesday.